It's your boy NSG, wherever it may be, however it may be. Thank you for making me a part of your day today. And today we are going to watch, or at least make a reaction to basically a spoiler-free first impression review of Sea of Stars. The reason being is that I've actually been playing this game as well. I'm around 20 hours into it so far, and I can say totally love this game, right? And for me, it's like, okay, I basically want to see if people share that same sentiment, right? And while the game isn't flawless, obviously, like there are some things that I absolutely love about the game, and there are some things that I think that, that can be worked on. But overall, from a little bit of time or the hours I've already put into the game so far, I can absolutely say that I really do love this game. So I'm not going to be talking too much further into this, you know what I'm saying? Let's go ahead and just take a quick look at it.
It's been nearly 3.5 years since Sea of Stars was introduced to the world with its mega successful Kickstarter. Since then, the Messenger alumni Sabotage Studio has poured blood, sweat, and tears into the making of the game while being
I
featured
can
on the
definitely
cover
tell
of
by
Game
that.
Informer magazine, the recent making of documentary by The Escapist, and they've gotten more and more attention after featuring demos on its various platforms. And now the wait is finally over. With this highly anticipated indie JRPG and Chrono Trigger inspired adventure available now on all major platforms and even on Game Pass and PlayStation Plus Extra as Day 1 editions, you are going to want to know if it's actually any good. Luckily, I got a chance to develop some early impressions after playing through the first 4 or so hours, so whether you've been eagerly waiting for it or just hearing about it now and trying to find out what the hype is all about, I got you covered with my mostly spoiler-free first impressions. I've been waiting a long time for this and couldn't
I
wait
love
to
that
talk
move
about it,
so
so
much.
subscribe to keep an eye out for my more complete review when I'm able to finish a playthrough at a later date.
So let me go ahead and start there. I kind of fall into the boat of, like, I didn't follow it like at its infancy, right? I kind of fell into it, I think, like, what was it, like a month before it released. And I don't even remember when I actually heard about it. I think it was like on Twitter or something like that. And I was like, oh man, this game looks really, okay, let me look more into it, right? And then when I saw, I think what caught me was, again, just a turn-based style, because I'm a huge turn-based fan. And um and another thing, I think the attacks, and I think he kind of, or it mentioned it a little bit, like, well, he didn't mention it, but it was in the video where the it's called, I think, it's the Boomerang. That move is so OP. I can't even lie to you, but all right, let's stop.
Okay, real quick, let's talk about what I will and will not be spoiling.
Yeah,
I
thank
won't be
God.
showing
I ain't
any
finished it
footage
yet.
from the launch trailer, which included a character reveal that some people have been avoiding. I will be lightly touching on the broad strokes of the story beats in the early portions of the game, most of which has already been revealed by the team. I'll be showing off some of the areas and lesser enemy
Yeah, it took me a
encounters I
minute
see in
to
the
actually
first
get down the
shoutouts of the
fishing
game,
game. I ain't gonna lie
and I
to
may
you.
show you and talk about a few early boss fights and character conversations, but these have all been previously shown in promo material, and I'll even stay fairly vague on the specifics of all these things to leave much of the surprises for you to experience it when you play it yourself. If you've been following this game for a while and seen most of the trailers, following the devs on Twitter, seeing what they're posting, you're probably safe. Though if you are especially sensitive to spoilers, you might want to turn away anyway. Okay, with that out of the way, we'll get started, and I won't keep you waiting any longer. It's really friggin' good, and well worth the long wait if you've been following this game since its Kickstarter like me. So let's get right into the details. The game opens up much like the demo, selecting either Valere or Zale as your party lead before setting the stage for an epic story.
I thought
After a
that was
brief
pretty dope.
introduction to Valere and Zale, a few simple combat encounters, and traversal, we are sent back in time to give more background on the world, story, and the development of our heroes as they come of age and train as Solstice warriors until they are ready to defend the world against its monsters and demons. As you can imagine, this is your standard mandatory RPG tutorial opening. This section makes much of what I consider tutorial part 1 for the game. It leans heavy on story and text, and it makes up much of the first hour of the game. Some may
So I can say this. I agree with him with that. Like, the story, obviously, it backtracks to when they were kids and kind of builds the story up. What I do like about it is that it doesn't take forever. Like it's not hours of backstory until you get to current events. Um, I do appreciate that. I think they found that like that right sauce, I guess is the best way I can say it. Um, to where it's like, okay, cool. Like we want to tell you a backstory, but we don't want to delve too far or take too long trying to tell the backstory up until it gets to current events. So I can definitely appreciate that.
May feel it starts a bit slow and want to get to the action, but I found it to be a delightful way to gain attachment to these characters with some of Sabotage's brand of humor shining through at times. And the dev team did a great job of teasing some mysteries for things yet to come. And we quickly get to see some of the game's amazing set pieces and hear a nice range of the brilliant music compositions that fill the game's soundtrack. But more on that later. For this reason, it didn't wear out its welcome for me, and it feels substantial and necessary in terms of story and character development. The first dungeon is fairly straightforward, but it does offer up some elements of exploration, light puzzle solving, and some treasures to loot, along with our first boss encounter.
Yeah.
Through this, we get our first real look at the combat system, which in case you haven't tried out the demo for yourself, it has a really clever method of keeping you more engaged even when you're fighting some of the weakest enemies in the game.
Now I know he's going to talk about it, but like I said, I kind of want to put my 2 cents on it too. When I first started, I didn't like I somewhat understood a little bit. I do think that it is really clever how they did it. Um Whether it's like how you have here, you got two hammers or a hammer and sword. Well, hammer meaning that, it's like a non-sword attack, you know what I'm saying? I do like that. And as the game progresses, it gets obviously like it starts y'all with like two, right? But as the game progresses, it gets even more expanded to where it's like, okay, you have to kind of strategize a little bit more um in regards to how you're going to attack to try to essentially, nullify all those for instance, like I said, with the two hammers and hammer sword, how to nullify all that, right? Um I thought that was really dope. I want to say, and correct me if I'm wrong in the comments below, I want to say Octopath Traveler did something similar to that. But I do think that this was a clever way of doing this, right? Because obviously us, people that played RPGs, turn-based RPGs, obviously situation, hit, come back, they hit me, they come back. While this is kind of the same thing, it's like, okay, it puts a little bit of a spin to it to make the battle a little bit more engaging and for you to kind of think a little bit more when you're attacking, whether it's like, okay, cool. For instance, you have the two hammers, right? You're going to use Valera to hit them twice. And then for the hammer sword, this would be, okay, cool. God, I forgot but his name, but I'll use him with the sword and then y'all use Valera with the hammer. You know what I'm saying? Like stuff like that. And I thought that was pretty dope.
The game for the umpteenth time. But we'll touch on the specifics of that in more detail a little later in the video.
I might have spoiled it.
The next section of the game is what I would call Tutorial Part 2. Making up the second hour or so of Sea of Stars, Valere and Zale are now on their way towards the Elder Mist Trials. The final test they must go through before they are officially made Solstice Warriors and they can set out on their journey. On your way, there will be some more opportunities to explore and be rewarded for having a keen eye. There's hints of things you can interact with but don't quite know what they do yet, and an opportunity to fish. Eventually you're taught the boosting mechanic, which introduces a new wrinkle into the combat system by allowing you to do extra damage and add magic to your basic attacks.
I like that too. I like that mechanic as well.
In the demo. Of course, there's a whole new set of areas that were skipped over during the demo, so we finally get to see the gaps that were left unspoken of, with the first new area being just a really massive location. Moving on to combat, it feels really good, and its unique lock system gives it a puzzle-like mechanic, so each encounter has its own flavor, and it keeps you engaged throughout. In many RPGs, I find myself at times getting sick of combat and just wanting to get to the next part of the story or the next boss encounter, often running around enemies just to avoid having to deal with them. I haven't really hit that point yet, and that's a testament to Sea of Stars' clever combat system. You also restore MP gradually by attacking. If you need an immediate boost, there's food items that can do that for you, but it's a nice way to keep combat flowing nicely and not needing to waste time constantly needing to use items just to keep up with the demands of the combat's lock system. And if you want to hear a bit more in-depth explanation of the combat system and just about every other aspect of the game's design philosophy and systems, you can check out my earlier in-development preview video.
Yeah, I might
As
have to
far as
check that out
difficulty
as
goes
well.
in the opening portions of the game, outside of boss encounters, it does feel a tad on the easy side, though the challenge does start to pick up after a few hours.
So I can agree. I can agree with that as well. I think that was kind of the first thing that I noticed um as I started like kind of playing a little bit more. I was nervous that it was going to continue to be simple, or the game was going to feel too easy. Um, and I think in the beginning when I started to think that, I was like, okay, I might not. This might not be something that's going to continue to keep my interest long term. Boy, was I wrong.
I'm still curious to see how difficult it really gets, as Sabotage had a goal in mind of not requiring players to grind just to stand a chance against the next boss. This might be a sore point for some hardcore RPG fans, but at least in the demo, there was an equipable item to make the game harder, so I'm expecting things like that to appear in the full game later on as well. Early in the game, you are given the Amulet of Storytelling, which makes it easier, at least for those who want it. Bosses we encounter in the early game, which have already been shown in promo materials for the game, include the Boss Slug and the Elder Mist himself, with being the first to test on what it takes to take on a boss with their own simple but unique systems to strategize around.
Oh, I
There are
thought it was
some
gonna be something
elements of
worse.
the game design that will likely go overlooked but should definitely receive a lot of praise. One of them is the resource collection, camping, and cooking systems. These are all quick, snappy systems that work really well. There's no overly long animations wasting time.
Yo, I don't know if he's gonna talk about it, but I will say this. Like, hold on, let me back it up. Like here, oh well, I don't have my my mouse, but like when you create your food or when you're crafting your food, and it might be something that's just super like, minuscule or insignificant to others, but to me, I thought it was pretty dope. Where they had different pictures when like as you progress, like as the bar is progressing, because obviously once it gets to the end, you've crafted your food. Like the picture on the right, it changes to different pictures as it gets to different stages of the bar. And I thought, while it again, it might be a situation where it's so insignificant to others, I found that to be so dope. And I found that to make me want to craft different things just to see the different type of animations or the different types of designs that they use for the types of meals that you would craft. I thought that was pretty clever. I actually like that a lot.
Snappy systems that work really well. There's no overly long animations wasting time. Resources are usually along your main path or only require a slight detour or are just provided as an extra reward for exploration. Fishing is another quick and simple way to build up some resources for your recipes. Fishing spots even log what fish are there and if you've caught them for those who want to check off their completion list.
Okay, this was one of the things, I'm not gonna lie to you. I enjoyed fishing. I enjoy fishing almost in every game that I played that has it, right? The one thing that I found so far, and like I said, I've only played about 19, 20 hours into this game. The one thing I would have to say is a con, and I wish that it would have been improved, was as you find different lakes, you you obviously find different fish. What I wished was that when you caught different fish, they gave you different types of materials. Um, from what I've seen so far, all it gives is like they give you like a fillet ingredient. It doesn't matter the fish you catch. It always gives you the same ingredient. I think it's fillet. I'm pretty sure. And they give you, two fillet, three fillet. I wish it would be different types of ingredients that you can catch based on the fish that you caught. Like I said, I don't know if it's a situation where it'll happen later on down the road during the game, or if it continues where it's like it don't matter the fish you catch, you're just gonna get the same ingredient. I think that if that would have been the case, it would have further encouraged me more to then be like, okay, continue fishing, one. And then two is like, okay, I want to get this type of fish because it's going to give me this type of ingredient for this type of recipe that I'm trying to make. But again, it not a big deal, but that was kind of something that I made note about while I was playing it.
And this is great because it doesn't require you to go out of your way just to get some healing items or feel like you need to hold on to something since they aren't hard to come by. Another really nice system is the KO system. When a character's HP goes to 0, they will get knocked out rather than just being fully out until they are revived with an item. They'll get back up after a few turns as long as someone on your team can survive a few turns, and this duration gets longer each time they are knocked down. This could be looked at as making the game easier, but I think it streamlines combat a lot. This is not an RPG where you constantly have to spend a 15-minute plus boss fight cycling between using reviving items, healing, and attacking, and repeating.
So I do agree with that. I was one of those where once I found out that that was the type of mechanic it was for down, I thought it would make the game too simple. But I have slowly came around to his way of thinking to where it helps streamline the game. And I'm not gonna lie to you. There were times I think I've actually had a game over one time. Where all three of them got knocked out before all their stars were before they were to get back up. I think that probably happened because of the fact that I just need to get good at the game. And at the time, like I was not that great at it. So at that point, but I do agree. I did start to change my mindset to where I thought, okay, this is just going to make the game easier. I kind of backed off of that a little bit.
Means you don't need to lean on using revive items all the time, and it keeps the flow of combat moving, which in my opinion is a great addition.
Yeah, I agree.
Immediately the game's environments stand out with beautiful set pieces, each area feeling like a grand scale, living, breathing world. And the dynamic lighting is a really nice touch that makes you want to stick around in each area to really take in all the little details that have been hand placed to make the day and night vibe feel distinctly different. From Mooncradle to Zenith Academy to Mountain Trail and beyond.
Okay, so I will say this. I agree. Let me first say this. The design of this game is absolutely beautiful. It is amazing. The music, bro, the music is great as well. One thing that gets me when it comes to RPGs is like, okay, how is the battle theme? Because that is the song or that is the theme that you're going to probably hear more often than not, as you play. That's probably going to be the one theme song you're going to hear the most. So if I'm going to have to hear that theme song over and over and over and over again, it better be fucking good. And it's amazing. I think, like, for one example, you'll have a battle theme. You'll have the battle theme song. It'll play when you're in the daytime, right? And then if you're fighting at night, it plays the same battle theme song, but it gives that nighttime. I can't even describe it, but like it sounds so good, dude. It is so good. It's one of the, I can't put it on the level of Persona. Persona's battle theme, but it's up there. This is up there because, like, for me, Octopath Traveler, this one, Final Fantasy X, I would say Final Fantasy 7. Yeah, fuck it. Final Fantasy 7, Lost Odyssey. Lost Odyssey is good too. Okay, I'm good. Anyhow, I say all that to say they did a very great job with the battle thing.
It doesn't
and the
take
music
long
in general.
to just be overwhelmed by the beauty of the world and the incredible sense of verticality some of these areas have, truly making you feel like you're traveling across these valleys and mountains. Even in the opening portions of the game, you are already continuously rewarded for taking a closer look at your environment and exploring a path less traveled, with rewards ranging from defensive equipment, recipes, resources, and valuable items to sell, and it's paced well to the point where you're regularly finding valuable items that feel really good to discover. Unsurprisingly, the music and sound effects are really out of this world good.
Yes.
Eric Brown, also known as Rainbow Dragon Eyes, has really outdone himself as the lead composer. With his experience gained from composing the Messenger soundtrack and now dabbling in a lot of new instruments for the Sea of Stars OST, he's really taken his skills to the next level. Now, he also has an incredible
such a great job, man.
Yasunori Mitsuda as the composer of Chrono Trigger's OST, adding his own set of tracks. Eric's friend Vincent Jake Jones adding a few tracks of his own and co-writing with Eric on a few tracks, and Reese Miller, who created the acoustic pirate band cover tracks, which might be one of the coolest implementations of a jukebox I've seen in a game.
That's
Besides
dope.
that, the game just does a phenomenal job of selecting the right tracks at just the right moment. The tracks themselves seem so in sync with what's happening, it feels like it is even taking an important role in the story itself. And with a dynamic music system that alters each track from day to night, it was an incredible undertaking by the team. But it's really paid off, and personally this has got to be an easy nomination for this year's Best Score and Music at the Game Awards. If you want to find out more about this game's excellent music, then definitely check out the new Audio of Sea of Stars website to read up and listen to some samples. It's a really cool way to get a better understanding of the amazing work that went into it.
I might have to make a Spotify playlist
So
for that
there's an
too.
elephant in the room that at least a few reviewers have been mentioning, which is the game's typos and grammar. Personally, I haven't noticed any at all, so either I just haven't seen it yet, or my grammar itself is also terrible, which is true. This sort of thing in games when noticeable can be immersion breaking for a hot second, but again, I haven't had this issue myself, but because this is a fairly text-heavy RPG, I could see reviewers seeing this as noteworthy, though in reality I don't think anyone is not going to play this because of typos. And while we're on the topic of words, I've also seen some reviews point out lengthy dialogue conversations. While there are some conversations or moments that could feel a bit long, it's far from the worst I've seen. Any longtime RPG fan will be right at home.
Yeah, I've seen a lot worse.
Conversations never
I've
bored me
definitely seen a lot
personally,
worse.
at least in the opening hours of the game where it is pretty heavy. Alright, long story short, to summarize my own overall impressions and conclusions, with these first few hours of Sea of Stars, I was already hooked into it. I haven't been able to put it down, and I had to peel myself away from it just to put this video together. I really think a lot of longtime fans and followers of Sea of Stars are going to be really happy with it, and it won't be long until they start looking forward to the DLC, which we already know about from the Kickstarter stretch goal. As I record this, I'm just really looking forward to getting back into the game to see what's next.
Nice.
It's just that good. And
I didn't even know they had
DLC
DLC was coming out for that.
And I know for a fact that I've barely scratched the surface of the game. I'm still waiting for it to open up some more so I have the freedom to sail around to different islands and go on a massive exploration and side quest spree. And I'm curious to see if we'll have some similar intricate side quest events like the Black Omen and other such late game quests from Chrono Trigger. So far the characters are all around very likable, and I can already tell they will certainly be leaving a lasting impression by the conclusion of the story. I'm already really attached to Garl. Man, Garl's the best. I'm still...
Garl is him. Garl is him. In the beginning, I didn't like him. Like in the very beginning, I didn't like him. But he's grown on me. He is my dude. That's all I'm gonna say. He's my dude. He's my dude.
I'm curious if we'll see a messenger-style rug pull and this game becomes like a dungeon-crawling card battler halfway through, or something ridiculous. But we'll have to see how it plays out. We know Sea of Stars is a prequel, so while nothing immediately stood out to me as a reference to the Messenger's world or story as of yet, I expect there's at least a few hidden and some more direct references at some point. But anyway, let's wrap this up and summarize. Game is good, go play it. And again, with it out on all major platforms, there's really no reason not to get your hands on this gem as soon as you can. Whether you grew up on classic Super Nintendo JRPGs it draws inspiration from, or hell, if you just like really well-made games, Sea of Stars can really be enjoyed by anyone and everyone. Now this year has been absolutely stacked for gaming with games like Tears of the Kingdom, Baldur's Gate 3, Pizza Tower, and a lot of underrated smaller indies that I've covered on this channel. And we still have Lies of P, Starfield, Spider-Man 3, and several more highly anticipated games coming very soon. But still, Sea of Stars already shows that Game of the Year potential for me. And if nothing else, it deserves to be part of that discussion, so let's make that happen. Alright, that's it for now. I'm going back to playing some more so I can do a more thorough and complete review later. But for now, thanks for watching. If you want to see more indie gaming content like this, then like the video and subscribe to the channel. I'm slowly pushing my way towards 1,000 subs, and your support really helps me get there. But that's it for me. I'm Colonel Dupes.
Well, I think overall, again, well, let me stop. Let me get my boy a like here, because I think that was a good analysis of this game so far. I don't know if he said how many hours he's put into the game so far. But I will say that his analysis of the game so far is kind of on par with how I am so far, being about 20 hours into it. There's a couple things that I'm not going to spoil that makes me further enjoy this game as well. Almost to the point where I'm seriously debating on whether I'm going to platinum it or not. You know, if it's a game that you feel is worth platinum, you know, let me know in the comments down below. You know what I'm saying? Let me know if it's something that is worth platinum. I'm definitely going to finish it. The game is it's so good. And I will also say, I think I'm probably a little bit further along than him, because there's other things as well. I believe like mini games and stuff like that he didn't touch on, that it's pretty dope as well. So if you haven't played it, I highly suggest you should. I highly suggest it, man. And this is one of those games where they put their foot in this game. I ain't gonna hold you so far with how I feel being about 10 or 19, 20 hours into it. But yeah, like I said, man, it is your boy NSG. Like I said, you know, your boy, like, sub, you know what I'm saying? If you enjoyed it, you know what I'm saying, enjoy the content I'm giving you and stuff like that, you know, leave your boy a like and a sub, bro. Like I said, I ain't going nowhere. You know what I'm saying? I'm probably gonna be doing more like this as well. Where, you know, where I want to play through a game and then see somebody else's impressions or see somebody else's review and see if we're kind of on the same level of it. You know what I'm saying? It's not to you know, be controversial with how they feel the game is. It's just, okay, whether it's like, okay, cool, I can agree with that, I had the same experience to what you have, or it's like, you know what, maybe I have a different take with versus what they have in a specific instance. But yeah, man, like I said, it's your boy NSG, man. I hope y'all have a great, wonderful day, night, afternoon, whatever part of the day you are in. So that being said, man,